Now listen, you can't just give me 8 episodes of 80's nostalgia, even though that I didn't grow up in the 80's, but still, you can't give me 8 episodes of 80's nostalgia and then just break my heart at the end of it. No! My name is Daidarius and welcome to the review for Stranger Things Season 3, or as Stranger Things wants to call it, Stranger Things 3. So Stranger Things Season 3 takes place, they say it's 6 months after the former season, but I call fucking bullshit, because have you seen those kids? Those kids has grown up. I mean, not completely up, but they have at least grown, I don't know, 10 inches or something like that, or maybe 10 inches. They've grown, I would say 15 centimeters. Is that 10 inches? Or is that 20? I don't fucking know. I don't know how much an inch is, but roughly 15 centimeters. It just, Jesus, they have grown a lot. So, no, it hasn't been 6 months. I would say 1.5 years maybe, but let's just go with 6 months. Mike and Eleven is a couple now, or couple is a strong word. They are boyfriend and girlfriend in their early teenage years. So, they love each other with all their hearts and, kiss a lot. And that's basically all they do because they are hormone-filled teenagers. But they are together and they often kind of ditch out on their friends because, they want to get back to kissing each other. Which is fine. That is just innocent teenage love. But unfortunately, Jim Hopper, Elle's stepdad or adoptive father, isn't really pleased with all the kissing because, it is pseudo-daughter. So he wants that to stop. So he's a bit cranky now. Lucas and Max is also a couple, or boyfriend and girlfriend. And they often hangs out with Will, who's unfortunately is just the fifth wheel, it must be in this case. Which he's getting tired of because now they're not playing as much Dungeons and Dragons as they should be. Because that is a great game. I haven't really played it myself. I've played some aspect of it or another pen and paper game once, and that is basically it. But I have been told that it is an awesome game, and it was pretty much started the whole thing with pen and paper. So yeah, they should play it more, but they don't. They want to be with their girlfriends, which apparently sucks. And Dustin is off at science camp, or he's getting back from science camp when this series starts. And apparently he also has a girlfriend who lives in Idaho or Ohio, or one of the states where he doesn't live. She lives there. So Will kind of feels like he is left out. Everyone else just wants to grow up and be with their girlfriends, and he just wants to bring the friends back so they, can play like they used to. Nancy and Jonathan are working at the local newspaper as interns because this is the summer period where everyone has vacation and they need to get money for the impending doom of college-ish. And Steve is working in an ice cream shop because he couldn't get into college. So basically this is just the daily life of these characters. However, quickly we notice that something weird is going on in this town. You might even call it some Stranger Things. Some idiotic Russians is trying to open the rift, which caused the bad things that happened in the first 2 seasons. So they want to open that again because, I don't know, they think there's some good energy in there or some monsters that can be weaponized or something. They just want to open it. And in some crazy coincidence, all of these characters gets hints of this thing going on, so they each investigate these aspects on their own or in different groups, and it all just ends up being connected. I mean, in this season, the groups are more spread out than they have ever been. And just funny to see the different aspects of this mystery that they each are trying to solve, and it just slowly fits together as we're moving on to the final episode of this season. So what did I like about this season? Well, first of all, the acting is still amazing. I mean, there's some aspect of the acting in this season that takes a dip. I mean, it isn't bad, but it's barely possible, and it unfortunately is with the kid actors. I don't know if there's some days where the directors wasn't really able to, make the actors act properly, but unfortunately you do really notice that there is a dip in the kids acting department. However, for the most part, everyone brings their A game. And it is actually extremely entertaining to watch. I mean, the story is as crazy as ever. You can never ever predict what's going to happen next. That is what I liked about Stranger Things, is that it is so far out crazy, but still down to earth that you just entertain and swallows it up, all of it. It is amazing storytelling. I love the story. I love the pacing. I love the fact that it just takes its slow time to build up the story. The first few episodes in all of these seasons, almost nothing happens, and then you get later on, and then everything happens, and it is just amazing. And I love it, even though you kind of have to drop your suspense of disbelief, because I mean, it's the third time it's happening to this town for these particular people. I mean, it can't keep happening for the same group of people. I mean, dude. But the story is amazing. The acting, for the most part, is great. And at some point, it even managed to actually pull the heartstring, especially at the final episodes. Even though this is not the final episode of the whole series. They have announced they want to make a season 4 and maybe a 5th season. And then after that, they pretty much want to, wrap it up, because they don't want it to overstay its welcome, which I appreciate. I really appreciate that. But it really does manage to pull the heartstrings and actually end on a somber note. Even though it's kind of hopeful, it's also quite somber. I also love the fact that how this series keep building on already existing relationships. Just when you think that Steve's and Dustin's relationship can't evolve anymore, well, fuck you, because it's actually gonna keep evolving. Everyone's relationship in here keeps evolving. Some new interesting things happens, and these people grow apart or closer to each other depending on what happens. And I love the fact that the creator wasn't too scared to actually do something interesting with this relationship, instead of just going, no, these people have to be together because that is what this series is about, and that's what people love about this series, so we have to make sure that they stay together. No, they actually took chances to experiment in some interesting and meaningful way with the relationship, and maybe some of it will break up, and that's just life, but they actually did something new with the relationship. They actually tried to evolve the relationship, so I appreciate that part. And as I said before, the story is amazing, the pacing is amazing, and the visual effects, holy shit, did they win some money in lottery or something? I mean, those effects are impressive as fuck. I mean, considering that this is an 8-episode Netflix series, and yes, the effects in the former season was good, but just the opening shot of this season, it is a giant brick-ass machine that the Russian tries to use to opening the rift, the gate as they call it in the season, pretty much. But it is movie quality on that, and the show just keep on using movie quality CGI. It is damn! However, even though that I appreciate all these new aspects of the series, there's still a couple of things I didn't appreciate with this season. First of all is kind of the story, and I don't mean that the story is bad, it's just in the low times where the characters need to act between each other. They kind of planted the seeds of something interesting happening, but didn't really commit enough to those seeds, especially considering the kids in this show. I mean, it even kind of feels like that the kids is kind of put aside to focus more on the adult crew in this season, which kind of bums me out, because they are the heart of the series, especially Eleven and her relationship with the other 4 guys. Yeah, 4 guys. And of course Max. We can't forget Max after the former season. So the 4 guys and the girl. But that has always been the heart of the season. But unfortunately, we don't really focus on the group dynamic as much as we could have. And then it's probably because they are split up as much as they are. But still, those who are in the group, I want them to have more of this child group dynamic that we come to love in the former series, especially considering that they now are teenagers, and how that will affect their groups and how that will affect their interactions. And some might even call this a nitpick, but I actually think that this is a flaw of the series, because it fails to show the growing interactions and group dynamic, considering they have gone through a lot of shit in the prior seasons. And yes, I know that when they show how it evolves, but they don't really focus enough on it. They don't really use that as the heart of the series, which means that when you get to the end of the season, it could have hit a lot harder if they focused more on it. Don't get me wrong, it really hits fucking hard still, but it could have hit harder. There's also, I don't know if you should call it the villain plot or villain mystery point or side of the story. But I wish that it was been focused more on it in the later part of the season, because it's only present in the first half of the season where we see this as some kind of threat or mystery or what the fuck is going on. But then later on, it is kind of just stitched because we need to focus on the Russian thing, and then at the end it is brought up again, which kind of sucks because it is also an interesting part of the story. It is an interesting part of the season. It just bumps me out that we introduce something so unique and interesting and just ditch it because now we need to focus on this, and then at the end of the season you go, right, we need to pull this thing back again. So let's just shove it back into the story. Not as they're not welcome at the climax of the story, but it just there's too many plot points throughout the season, and then at the end just force them right back in, which kind of makes it feel disjointed at some points. I also wish there was kind of more mystery to the season, because at some point you kind of know exactly what's going on, and then the later part of the season is just them dealing with this aspect, whereas in the former seasons they kind of built the mystery up until the final part of the season. I mean, the show is called Stranger Things and not Strange Things that we actually know what is. So it's kind of bound that the mystery part takes a dive in this season. And also there are some aspects in this season where the acting dumps down a bit, but I have already talked about that. But still, this is one hell of a season. Even though there are some lows in this season, there are some pretty fucking highs in this season, and the most part is highs. This is a great, even an excellent season, and I loved every bit of it except the points I've pointed out. So just, struggling here. So what I'm trying to say is, with this season you will get good acting, you will get great story, a good mystery for the most part, great visual effects, extremely well paced and excellent executed relationship and evolving relationship, and also characters, and also some great humor. I didn't mention that, but the humor in this season is just awesome. And yes, the mystery part is taking a dive, and also the human relationship in this season is taking a dive, or it's just not focused on as much as it would have benefited the season if they did focus on it. And the action takes a dive here and there. But I will say that Stranger Things Season 3 or Stranger Things 3, it is worth watching and worth buying on Blu-ray. So, Stranger Things Season 3, have you seen it? What do you think about it? And do you look forward to Season 4? I mean, I guess if you have seen the former 3 seasons, but if you don't, then why? But also, do you think it will be a good idea for the series to just take a time jump, considering that these kids is almost adult heights now, and you can't keep saying that they're just growing immense amount of heights in few months. Don't. But Season 3, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Comment below and me your thoughts. And as always, until I see you in the next video, remember to stay awesome. Bye! Man, I just wish that I got to experience the 80s. I mean, only experienced 1 year.